I mean, we live in a world where democracy is in decline, authoritarianism is on the rise. Russian influence in this world is both super malign and super insidious and getting more emboldened all the time. But here's what's on us, though, about this. Can we just put yes, thank you. Put those highlights up there, right? These are just highlight items over the last 5 years, not just normal bad country behavior stuff, treating their citizens badly, not respecting human rights internally, having bad alliances, behaving badly overseas. This is like just the highlights in terms of stuff that Russia's done that other countries wouldn't even try. That's their behavior just over the last 5 years. Look at what's changed over the last 5 years in terms of us, not them, but us. I mean, the first one of those things, right, the invasion of Crimea, massive international response led by the United States. I mean, no other country rolled tanks into Ukraine and went to war with Russia's soldiers there. But short of that, you get a strong, multi-part, American-led response and a big international response. And you get it almost instantly, too. Within weeks of Russia mounting that invasion, they're out of the G7, the sanctions are rolling out, the aid is approved to Ukraine, the military shoring up of other countries on Russia's borders starts. The oil companies get pulled out of there, which is a big blow to Russia economically, right? It's fast, strong response. That's the first one, right? Chronologically, move down to the next one, the 2016 election interference. Well, what kind of pushback do they get there from the United States? Well, it's still a pushback, but it's more nuanced. I mean, we do get President Obama personally warning Putin to buzz off. We get U.S. intelligence personally warning Russian intelligence to buzz off at the highest levels. The U.S. expels a bunch of Russian diplomats. Remember, the U.S. seized a whole bunch of physical compounds that Russia had been using in this country and doesn't give them back. That said, there is no whole-of-government pushback, because when the Obama administration came to Congress to ask for a bipartisan show of force against what Russia was doing in our 2016 election, it was Senate Republican leader Mitch McConnell who said no, he wasn't interested. I won't participate in that. We still don't know exactly why, but since Vladimir Putin was just then in the midst of helping his own party's presidential candidate win the White House, that one will resonate to the tune of Moscow Mitch as long as Mitch McConnell is in public life. And yeah, there were U.S. sanctions ultimately against Russia for them interfering in the U.S. election. But you will recall, once Donald Trump was in office, Rex Tillerson, as Secretary of State, vehemently and publicly opposing those sanctions and saying he was against them, and President Trump was too. President Trump tried to veto them. He only couldn't because Congress was so strongly in favor of them. So to have the Secretary of State and the President saying they don't want those sanctions, well, that pulls the punch a little bit in terms of the impact of those sanctions. Chronologically, the next one, the assassination attempt in the UK. Well, in that one, it's an even weaker response. The messages get really mixed. Yes, the U.S. did join in some additional international sanctions against Russia for what they did with that attempted assassination in the UK, but the sanctions this time weren't much. The U.S. certainly didn't play a lead role in organizing them. And in fact, President Trump let it be known that he was quite upset when he learned that the United States had accidentally expelled more Russian diplomats than other countries did in response to that assassination effort. He made it clear that he wished he hadn't been so harsh. Ultimately, the Trump administration would slow walk the implementation of those sanctions for months. The Washington Post recently reported that on a call earlier this year with then British Prime Minister Theresa May, President Trump spent a full 10 minutes on that call trying to convince Theresa May that maybe it wasn't Russia that carried out that assassination in the UK. Maybe she and her government were wrong. Maybe it wasn't Russia. Maybe it was a 300-pound guy in his bed. Who knows? Well, chronologically, what's the next one after that? The next assassination after that, the one in Berlin. As we reported here last night, the U.S. government has reportedly concluded that, yes, the Russian government was behind that assassination, too. Unnamed U.S. officials confirming as much to the Wall Street Journal months ago. But the U.S. government has had exactly zero official response to that, even as the Germans have now let it be known that they, too, have assigned blame to the Russian government, and they kicked out Russian diplomats in response. The U.S. has still done nothing, not even said anything officially. Even as U.S. officials, the U.S. government has reportedly concluded that that was another example of Russia sending assassins to go kill somebody they wanted dead in a Western capital. Broad daylight. We can act and do that wherever we want. What are you going to do about it? That decline in seriousness of U.S. consequences for Russian bad behavior. And indeed, for stuff you would consider, I think, rogue state behavior. I mean, at some point, that is no longer a story about Russia being a bad actor. That's a story about us and this administration and our country.
Hey there, I'm Chris Hayes from MSNBC. Thanks for watching MSNBC on YouTube. If you want to keep up to date with the videos we're putting out, you can click subscribe just below me or click over on this list to see lots of other great videos.